coopers did. There was what they called tight coopers or wet coopers. They made barrels. And the slack coopers made the barrels like the one with the wooden band on it. They weren't ever meant to hold water there, just for shipping stuff. Doing it here for about 16 years.
I see. So what is a cooper all involved with? What do they get? What do they do?
Well, this is what we do here is what they call white cooperage. It's a straight state watertight containers, like buckets, butter churns, wash tubs, and things like that. And then your slack coopers made the wooden barrels that were never intended to hold water.
Yeah.
They strictly the shipping containers at the time. And then your wet coopers made the watertight barrels.
Okay, why don't you tell me a little bit what, who you're representing?
I am Captain Baker of the U.S. Rifle Regiment, circa 1820, here at Fort Atkinson. The uniform I'm wearing translates basically from the War of 1812 through the current time of 1820. We're just about ready to start our church call for the enlisted men. You certainly may sit in if you'd like. We'd be happy to have you come and join us.
All right, thank you. Okay, what are you dressed up to represent?
We're dressed as the U.S. 1st Infantry. The Lewis and Clark expedition, the men in the Corps of Expedition would wear similar uniforms to the ones we're wearing because we're infantry. But the people in the red coats over there, they're musicians, so they wear the inverse colors. So they have red coats instead of blue coats, so that people know not to shoot at them as much.
As much, huh?
As much.
As much.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a couple questions here? I'm shooting videos, so it's nice to have a little...
Who are you asking
All right,
questions?
well, all three of you. What's your... Now, for example, you're dressed up here, and what would you be doing if you were in this fort?
Probably a laundress,
Okay.
but I'm a grandma.
You're a grandma.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just dressed up, but you don't necessarily...
I don't have a particular job.
Okay. But you get to be a grandma.
I was the driver to get here.
You were the driver. And these young men over here, you drove them?
They're
here, but they've been involved in the area. We've got
yeah, 5 kids, their mom and
Yeah.
myself.
4 of them. They're called the Iron Men that are
Turn my video on.
Oh, great.
Do you do this regularly?
Do I?
Yeah, are you just up here with the kids?
I'm up here with the kids.
Okay, so you're just dressed up like a mother.
Yes.
Okay. So, you're from St. Charles also?
St. Charles, Missouri,
Okay.
yes.
Well, it's good to see you're up here.
Thank you.
So, what do you do out here?
Normally we are the laundress. So
Okay.
we're actually taking a bit of a break right now. We had a bit of a butter incident this morning where one of the soldiers ended up having butter break out in his knapsack. So that's what's hanging on our line over there. But nope, we actually would make our own soap, wash our clothes, and we'd have 17 soldiers a pop for each laundress, and we'd get paid 50 cents a month for each soldier. So we'd make about $8.50 a month. And that was more than actually most enlisted men. They'd make $5.
Yeah.
So we'd actually would normally be married to lieutenants or sergeants, and it was actually very, very, very unheard of for us to marry an enlisted men because they wouldn't recognize their marriage because they made so little. It wasn't enough to support a family.
Right.
But we normally would make our own soap. We'd carry about 60 gallons of water a day, back and forth, and we'd do their whites once a week.
Sale in a place like this when people came in with it, what did they normally buy?
They bought staples that the government did not provide, and also the civilians were buying everything else here. So this was like the general store. There was no other place to get food. So they came in for beans, rice, flour, sugar. They also came in for material for the women for making outfits. You had shoes, boots, personal hair products, combs. I mean, it just, anything and everything you could think of would have been sold out of the store if they could get it and get it up here on the keel boats that came up.
Fresh vegetables and fruit. And we know 160 of the soldiers died from scurvy. We don't have any idea how many of the civilians died because there was no accounting of those attached civilians, but that would have been the wives, the servants, the slaves, and the children of the soldiers themselves. And unfortunately, 2 days before he arrived, the Cantonment, Missouri, which had been built very quickly in the fall down on the floodplain, was then underwater. And when the water receded after more than a week, about 6 foot of silt had filled up the barracks. Also at that time, Colonel Atkinson knew that his orders had changed. So instead of going further up the Missouri River, he was to build a permanent fort here. And he, first of all, he knew right away that they weren't going to rebuild down on the floodplain. And the reason they hadn't built up here in the first place was that they were only going to spend the winter here and then move upstream. When it was going to be permanent, he decided to move up here where William Clark had said that it was a good situation for a fort because it was elevated. You could see up and down the river valley because at that time there were no trees here, and that was one of the problems. They had to bring in cottonwood timbers more than a mile.
Work in this one, this building?
I am one of the reenactors that hang out here.
Okay, and what would be your position if you'd be in Fort Atkinson back then?
Right now, I would say a itinerant musician.
A musician?
Musician.
Okay, and what do you play?
Play fiddle.
Okay, where's your fiddle at?
Right there.
Oh,
Which you finally did.
You want to hear it?
sure.
You know, so I don't even know if Fort Leavenworth ever had a council house. Because Clark was in there trying to, he wanted the job for his son.
Can I move this out here?
Sure.
So yeah, he's really.
Okay, so you're reenacting, and what is your position out here?
A Native American woman. I'm the trapper's wife.
Trapper's wife. So what does a trapper's wife do? Just skin stuff?
Oh, just normal duties, but I also do like finger weaving and
Yeah.
sashes, pump lines. A lot of the fiber arts is what I've been working
Yeah.
on. So this is one of the sashes that I've done. This is a chevron weave.
How long did it take you to do that?
This one, I just worked on it up here. It took probably about 3 seasons.
So it took a while.
Yeah. If I was to sit down and do it, it would probably take a month or so.
Yeah.
Was this fair value? Like,
that I would only
did Indians
work on it while I was up here
$5
interpreting.
beaver
So.
fur?
Yeah.
There are a lot of diaries talk about
the Indians were pretty canny traders. They'd take little snips off the blankets and they'd burn them and check to see how much wool content was in the blanket.
Wow, okay.
And that's like the trade muskets. They looked for London stamps on the barrel and the sitting fox stamp and just a bunch of stuff. So they had an idea of the frontier value sometimes to trade with because they knew the value of the frontier standard.
Yeah, that's what I was concerned. Like you have a $5 value of an object on that you're trading for, $5 or it's $4 value. You know, you give him a fur and he gets some change. This plus this equals 5.
Yeah, that's like the trade musket, like the one I lay out here. They can make those in England for about $500.
So are you using this cabin for, or are you just in here visiting?
No, we use this cabin.
Use it, sit there, sleep in here. And
So what's your position as far as the history of this?
ooh, keelboat captain.
Keelboat captain?
I'm the one that would have been transporting all the pelts down to St. Louis.
So you ever been on a keelboat?
No, but I've done so much research. I can
Yeah.
tell you how hard it would have been to sit there and navigate it.
Be a lot harder to come upriver than go down.
Yeah, well, going downriver would have been real easy because
Yeah.
you're going with the current.
Yeah,
Coming up, for every 2 miles you go up, you go one back.
yeah,
And navigating with the keelboats, when you got the old the poles, you're naturally buoyant, so you're having to force them down into the water.
yeah.
And you sit there, you get it, and navigate it. You got to sit there, one force it down the water, get down to the bed of the river, and you're walking it. Then you got to pull it up, walk over to the end,
Right.
and start all over again.
Tell me a little bit about that hat you have on. Has that got any functionality, or is it just strictly for looks?
It's mostly for looks,
Yeah.
but it does have a smidge of functionality.
Yeah.
It makes me easy to find on the battlefield.
Yeah. Does that make it easier for the enemy to shoot at you?
Well, in this time period, they didn't normally shoot at officers.
Oh, they didn't.
No, it was a gentleman's fight.
Yeah.
And so, more like a large game of chess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You spent more time using the army, and since the weapons weren't rifled, they would
Right.
just send loads of
Yeah.
lead downfield. So that's They wouldn't actually aim for officers. That was considered a cowardly thing to do at the time.
And, but you know,
Just like
you
when you
learn
put the
things.
pie on a rack in the oven, that's the rack.
That's
Instead
right.
of touching the sides of the oven.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, well, enjoy your visit.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Somebody told me. Okay, we'll just keep an eye on it and we'll cover our ears, okay?
So what is your function here as the...
Well, I am the officer's cook, but right now I'm doing something different. But the officer's cook was his own personal employee who was not a member of the military. It would have been, usually it would have been a man that he would bring from back east, although sometimes he would hire somebody's wife in the community because he wouldn't have to pay as much. And for her it worked out because she was able to bring in a little bit extra money for her own family.
Right.
So that would be why a woman would be here. We believe that there was a building to the south. There were two buildings to the south of the fort. One of them we believe was an officers club type thing. If you can think of what a modern military base has, an officers club. So that would have been where the officers would have eaten. Originally there was a fourth wall along the bluff, and we believe that that was where the officers' quarters were because they had a balcony overlooking the bluff, and they would have had those lovely breezes coming up from the valley.
That's sad.
The bus don't run out.
You don't want that.
So,
I'm really surprised the people from St. Charles hadn't come over.
oh. So you're from...
Trying to throw?
No, I'm just out here taking video.
I'll show you how to get a crowd. You broke my heart. We have to quit. But you gotta hit the block.
The sutler store. They need boxes for storage, their goods, so the mice don't get into it. So I'm building a couple boxes for them so they can have them up there for storage.
So how long you been doing this?
Professionally or retired wise?
Oh, you do this professionally too, carpentry?
Yeah, I was a professional carpenter for 30-some years.
Yeah.
And then I retired here a couple years back, and then I started coming here and enjoying my time.
So your position out here was?
I portrayed John Doherty, who was the Indian sub-agent and the interpreter. He spoke 5 Indian languages and about a handful of sub-dialects, the local tribes.
So you were pretty good at linguistics.
Yes, yeah. As a matter of fact, Doherty, of course, spoke English as a young man, and in the 3 months when he was traveling up the river from St. Louis to the Yellowstone area, there were 2 crews of boatmen. There was an American crew and there was a French crew. He ended up with the French crew and he learned to speak French during that 3-month period.